What's up, Oilers Nation? Caroline and Tyler here with you on the Giant pregame show presented by Sherwood Ford. Tyler, what's poppin'?
Oh, not a lot popping here. It's I am mentally preparing myself for an 8:30 start tonight. I hate late starts. Anything past 7 usually puts me in a bad mood, so I'm extra grumpy with an 8:30 start.
It's so funny. I was writing the opposition report and I was like, I'm going to mention that it's an 8:30 p.m. puck drop because I know that you're not going to appreciate that time slot. For me, it makes me feel like I'm back in Eastern time because that was just a regular time to watch a hockey game back home. But yeah, I figured that you wouldn't be too happy about that one, Tyler.
I have said it a million times and I will never back down off this opinion. The Mountain Time Zone is the absolute best time zone to watch sports in. Sports starting at 5 o'clock and then carrying you right up to like 11 is perfect.
I could not agree more. We'll get into recapping the Oilers games against the Anaheim Ducks. Obviously, a 6-1 win for the Oilers just annihilated the Ducks. It was good to see. It was something that we all needed as Oilers fans, just a nice confidence boost. But the biggest news to come out of that game, obviously, is Leon Draisaitl reaching his 50th goal of the season. Kennedy had an epic graphic ready for us. Nation got on an epic t-shirt for all the Nation citizens. And I swear to God, Austin Matthews must have caught wind of this because then in turn, he scores a hattie against the Tampa Bay Lightning and says, sorry, Leon, I'm still going to lead this race in terms of goal scoring. So Tyler, what are your thoughts and how big of a moment was this for Leon Draisaitl?
You could tell it meant a lot to Leon, right? I mean, you just watch his reaction, right? The hands go up to the sky and all of that. It was a meaningless goal, it was a goal that was meaningless to the outcome of the game because they were up 5-1. But for Draisaitl, that goal meant a lot, and he hits the 50-goal mark. He also joins some really rare company in the fact that he already has 50 goals, 50 assists, and 100 points on the season. He is the first player to do that since the last time he did it back in 2018. Before that, you'd have to go back to Evgeny Malkin. I think it was 2013 when Gino did it. And then if you want to find a player who's done it twice like Draisaitl, the only other active player is Alex Ovechkin. Jason Gregor took like a deep dive look at this over at Daily Faceoff, so you can go read that article. But he joined some rare company with that 50th goal. And the thing I liked about it, Caroline, he did it in vintage Draisaitl fashion. One-timer, bottom of the circle, no business taking that shot, but it goes in.
Well, a lot of people are saying that he just has a lethal shot, which is obvious. If you watch Draisaitl game in, game out, you know everything that he can do. Right now, Austin Matthews has 54 goals on the season. Leon has 50. But I would love to read to everyone on this pregame show a tweet that you sent out earlier this morning. And I quote Tyler Uremchuk on Twitter. I know people just love to hate on Matthews and the Leafs, but 47 goals in 47 games is absolutely insane. If that doesn't convince you he's the best straight up goal scorer in the game, ... Tyler, what have your mentions looked like as of late? And do you stand by this?
I do stand by it. Absolutely. I mean, Austin Matthews has 47 goals in his last 47 games. Do we even I can't even comprehend how insane it is to go on a run that strong. That's so good. And I feel like a lot of people just look at Matthews and are like, oh, he's overrated because of the Toronto media. And it's like, yeah, you can hate the over coverage of Matthews doing what he does. He scores 50 goals and it's, the first 8 headlines on every major hockey website for the most part. And yeah, that's super annoying. I get it. But you can recognize that the Leafs are covered more than any other team without sitting there being like, yeah, but Matthews sucks. And I had one guy being like, take out the empty net goals. Okay, Matthews has 4 empty netters this year. McDavid has 6. Draisaitl has 3. Alex Ovechkin has 9 or 10 or something crazy like that. So no, the empty net goals are not a thing. I don't know. I just look at him and I go 47 goals in 47 games. Matthews is doing stuff production wise that we haven't seen in decades in the NHL in terms of a pace like that. So I think you do need to show him a little bit of respect. He is, for my money, and I'm saying this on an Oilers pregame show and people aren't going to like it, Austin Matthews is the best pure goal scorer in the NHL. Leon Draisaitl is right behind him at number 2. You can argue about who's the more impactful player all over the ice. Absolutely, you could. But I'm talking straight up goal scoring. It's Matthews, but it's also a big compliment to Draisaitl that, Matthews has a hat trick, so now he's 4 up on Leon. But Leon's still right there and could close that gap once again tonight because he's capable of scoring a hat trick himself.
Oh my gosh, I could hear Leafs Nation everywhere. One of us, one of us. Oh,
No.
Tyler, this makes me smile ear to ear. I love to hear, like, obviously, you got to give credit where credit's due. And I'm the first one to do that with a lot of Oilers players. But yeah, what Matthews is doing is incredible. Is there anyone sounding off on the Twitch chat right now? Because the Facebook chat's a little quiet, but I want to know what Oilers Nation thinks about this.
No, the Twitch chat is oddly quiet, so I'm going to take that as I'm just going to assume they all agree with everything I have to say, because if the Twitch chat is quiet,
Perfect. All right, we'll move on to Tyson Barrie walking out of the game against the Ducks with a goal and 2 assists. That's 5 points in his last 4 games and scoring his first goal since March 19th. A guy and a D-man that the Oilers, can only benefit from when he finds, his offensive star power and is able to produce those points for the Oilers.
Yeah, he's been fantastic as of late. And I mean, it goes back to really, I think this kind of mini hot streak he's on started back when he scored that beautiful goal that came at a huge point against the New Jersey Devils back a few weeks ago. But he's on a nice little run, points in 3 of his last 5, a 3-point night against Anaheim. And when you can get someone producing from the back end like Barrie is, you can start to see why that $4.5 million price tag, it's slightly more justified. And, I'm still one of those people who's going to be talking for the next few months about how you offload that guy into the summer and things like that. But for right now, he's looking like a D-man that's worth his money. He's up to 35 points in 61 games already this season. And there are defensive problems there. I am not going to pretend that those still don't exist. But when he produces this kind of offense, I think you kind of start to sit there and go, oh man, like, what he can do as an elite point producing D-man, it's something.
I love it. And another D-man on the Oilers team who finished with a goal and 2 assists, Brett Kulak, who also scored his first goal as an Edmonton Oiler. Tyler, what are your thoughts on Kulak and maybe the addition of him and his game into this Oilers squad?
Yeah, he's got a lot of people wondering, what a contract could look like in the offseason between him and the Edmonton Oilers. I think he's fit in really well. He's sort of come as advertised, right? A left shot D-man who brings you a bit of stability to your third pairing. When he was on the ice against the Anaheim Ducks, once again, I think the shots were in a positive direction here for the Edmonton Oilers. They outshot the Ducks 18-10 when Brett Kulak was on the ice. Kulak was actually on the ice for 5-on-5 goals as well for the Oilers. So he's looking good. He's stabilized that third pairing for the Oilers, and that's exactly what they needed him to do. And I think the conversations about, could he come back next year? I think they're good conversations to have because I think he's a nice piece of this blue line right now.
Love it. I want to give some love to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, obviously returning from injury on March 26th. He scored 2 goals since, and one of those goals came from the game against the Ducks and an assist. I know Oilers fans were particularly happy and excited for obvious reasons that Nuge was coming back into our lineup, obviously centering our third line, giving them the Oilers team that depth that they so desperately need, let's be honest. But a guy that I think no matter what, I feel like Nuge is a guy you can rely on. And that's what excites me about with him being back into this lineup and him being on the ice. He's a reliable player. He's such a smart player and a guy that can only help this team.
Yeah, absolutely. Scores his 9th of the season the other game. He's been big for them. And I think having him down the middle away from Draisaitl and McDavid gives the Oilers the potential to create 3 scoring lines that are an absolute handful for other teams. And the only issue I have right now is kind of who he's playing with. And when they played him on a line with Jesse Puljujarvi for a game, it was Puljujarvi, Brassard, and Nuge. It was a great trio. They had fantastic numbers in that game. I think it was the game against the San Jose Sharks as well. And then they broke it up and they put Archibald there and the numbers went right into the toilet. And even with Zach Kassian on that wing last game, the numbers weren't very good. So I love Nuge as a third line center, but I do think he needs to be surrounded with a little bit more offensive talent on that third line if the Oilers really want to develop a true top 9 where all 3 units are threats to score. So I love Nuge. I see Kennedy dropping Nuge with a heart emoji here in the Twitch chat, which I love to see. But the Oilers need a little bit more out of that third line. That's through no fault of Nuge's. That's just who he's been playing with.
Yeah, Will in the Facebook chat says, Nuge is the straw that stirs the drink. Without him, we're just lost. I love that. And Ryan saying, Nuge, he's made the PK and the power play better. And it's just everyone, I feel like it's hard to dislike Nuge. I mean, if you're one of those people, something's wrong.
Yeah, I love that point from Ryan. He's made the power play and the penalty kill better. Both of those have been better since Jay Woodcroft took over, and especially in the last few weeks here. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the power play and the PK, those percentages have really gone up since Nuge returned. He's got his hand in sort of every cookie jar when it comes to helping the Oilers win.
I love it. All right, Mike Smith, 31 saves on the night, only letting 1 goal in. Not the craziest competition against the Anaheim Ducks, but Smith got his reps and he did his job at the end of the day.
Yeah, and all of a sudden now when you look at Mike Smith's sort of last 5 starts here, he's started to piece things back together a little bit. These are his last 5 starts, so it doesn't count the game against Calgary, which was a relief appearance. He's got good numbers here against the bad teams, right? That Buffalo save percentage is outstanding. The San Jose one's great. Anaheim, he was really good as well. You know, Colorado wasn't perfect, but still that's a wagon of a team out in Colorado. The St. Louis game was not good. I still want to keep seeing more consistency out of Mike Smith is the big thing for me. Like he's maybe starting to earn back a little bit of my trust right now because those last 5 games are good no matter how you cut them up. You know, they need to win games no matter who the opponent is, and Smith gave them chances to win against some bad teams here, but I still need to see just a little bit more.
I feel like all of Oilers Nation, I don't want to speculate, but a lot of people would agree with you. All right, let's move on to our opposition report presented by Yegburger because it's a game day, people. Mm-hmm. We have an exciting game tonight. I know it is 8:30 p.m. puck drop, so Tyler may have to drink a coffee right before to stay awake, but the Oilers are taking on the Sharks, who are on a 3-game losing streak, 3-6-1 in their last 10 games, and second to last in the Pacific. So Tyler, the Oilers have a few games coming up after their game tonight that are tougher. So the Oilers need to make sure, plain and simple, they lock this game down tonight with 2 points in the bag and secure that win in San Jose.
Yeah, the Oilers have made a habit recently of beating up on bad teams. If you go back to March 15th, right? Detroit win, Buffalo win, Jersey they beat, San Jose, Arizona, like Anaheim last game. They're beating all the bad teams, getting all the points that they're supposed to, and that's true again tonight. This is a Sharks team that's lost 3 in a row. They lost to Dallas, Colorado, and I think the other one was Arizona in that stretch. They only have 3 wins in their last 10 games. The Oilers need to keep up what they've been doing, which is beating up on these bad teams. Like against Anaheim, there was never a point in that hockey game where I thought the Oilers were in danger of losing it. Even last time against San Jose, like I dug up the numbers from those last few matchups against the Sharks. When they met on March 24th, the Oilers win 5-2. They outshoot the Sharks 37-24 at 5-on-5. Back on February 14th, Stuart Skinner throws a shutout. Oilers outshoot the Sharks 31-15 at 5-on-5. They've dominated the Sharks. They absolutely need to do it again tonight.
All right, what are the lines for the San Jose Sharks and maybe some key players that we should look out for? Yeah,
there's definitely a few key players, but their depth is absolutely not what it usually is. You can see that top line. That's their dangerous trio. If San Jose is going to have a fighting hope of winning this game tonight, they're going to need Meyer, Hurdle, and Barabanov to come through for them. That trio's combined for 5 goals in their last 5 games. 4 of them have actually just been scored by Timo Meyer himself. The depth, though, falls off. Like I said, Logan Couture is playing with basically 2 fourth-line wingers in Matt Nieto and Sasha Chmelevski. Wow, what a name. The third line is Nick Bonino with Noah Gregor and John Leonard, and then Scott Reedy with Jonah Gajovic and Rudolphs Balsers. This is the all-tongue twister team, or the all-tongue twister group up front for the San Jose Sharks. And then you got the D pairings are Jacob Megna with Brent Burns, Mario Ferraro with Eric Carlson, Mark-Edouard Vlasic with Ryan Merkley. Not a lot of depth on this Sharks team. Not a ton of talent. There's a reason they've been as bad as they are all season. Maybe James Reimer steals one. He's going to get the start for the Sharks tonight, just looking back at his recent numbers. He is on a bit of a decent run here. He's only allowed in his last 4 starts. He's allowed 10 goals against, so 2.5. Some quick Yaremchuk math for you here. Reimer's been good. Maybe he can steal one for him, but this is a team that does not even compare to the Oilers.
All right. And how about for the Edmonton Oilers? Any changes in our lines tonight?
Just basing things off of last game. I mean, there is the potential for maybe there to be a slight change somewhere if an Oiler isn't healthy. We know there was a bit of talk about Leon Draisaitl potentially not playing. Same with Evander Kane because they didn't skate yesterday. It is worth noting, this from Tony Brar of Oilers TV. Draisaitl was on the ice for this morning's optional skate, and Jay Woodcroft said both Draisaitl and Kane, quote, it looks like they're ready to go. So this is the lineup here for the Oilers, expecting it to be the exact same thing that we saw last game for the Edmonton Oilers. The only change, I guess, could be between the pipes, where we're not sure. Mikko Koskinen is healthy. We know that. They sent Skinner back down to Bakersfield. So could be Koskinen going tonight. Maybe they go back to Smith to reward him with a good game, but I think it'll be Mikko tonight.
I personally hope Mikko. All right, Tyler, where are you putting your money? What is the bet of the game presented by PointsBet?
I'm actually a little bit surprised that the Oilers aren't bigger favorites in this hockey game.
Okay.
Like minus 196 on the money line, they're still sizable favorites. But the fact you're getting them at plus 135 on the puck line, I think is great value. Even the Oilers at minus 125 in regulation. Like they've beaten the Sharks twice in sort of the last 8 weeks here. San Jose's lost 3 in a row. Edmonton is clearly playing some pretty good hockey right now. I'm going to be all over the Oilers minus 1.5. I also mentioned the fact that the Oilers have put up 31 and 37 shots respectively in their last 2 games against the Sharks. That's at 5-on-5 only. That's not counting shorthanded or power play shots on goal either. Their total tonight for team shots on goal is set at 33.5. I'm all over that as well. I think they should put up a ton of shots tonight against San Jose. Sharks team shouldn't stand much of a chance. I'm liking the Oilers to blow them out, win by 2 or more, and put up like 34, 35 shots on goal tonight.
And what are the odds Leon Draisaitl hat trick matching Austin Matthews?
Leon Draisaitl hat trick, you're getting that at 18-1. So I mean, the odds on that, it's weird how inflated McDavid and Draisaitl kind of odds are right now, because 18-1 compared to other players is nothing for a hat trick. The bet I do like player prop wise is going McDavid over 1.5 points. PointsBet has it at minus 115. He's hit this 3 times in a row. He's hit this in 11 of his last 13 games. He's hit this in 15 of his last 19 games. That's insane. Connor McDavid has multi-point games in 15 of his last 19. You can get it at minus 115 on PointsBet. And quickly, if you are in Ontario, PointsBet Canada is live in your province. So if you head over, we've been tweeting out a bunch of links from Oilers Nation, Daily Faceoff, all that stuff. Find the link. They got a nice little bonus for you. I don't know if we have listeners out in Ontario, but if you're watching this and you're in Ontario, go give our friends at PointsBet a download. Go download their app as well at whatever app store you use. PointsBet has arrived in Canada, and it feels good to say that.
That's my old stomping grounds, Tyler. I don't know if you know that. I come from Ontario.
Really? Have we covered that before?
And that's a perfect segue into these comments, because poor Oilers fans in the chat are like, figure we would escape Matthew's conversation here, if anywhere, on this giant pregame show, which is a pregame show for the Oilers. But guys, I take the blame for that. I put Tyler in that position to talk about Matthews. You guys got to let me live just a little being, from Toronto and sort of enjoying this whole moment for Austin Matthews, but I'll take the L and the responsibility for that. Tyler, what's going on in your chat?
The Twitch chat is absolutely bumping right now. Kylie said, wow, Tyler really said F them Sharks. And yeah, they're not a good team. There's not a ton of talent there. Waz called me an old man. Waz, you don't want me to chirp you, buddy. You know what I got locked and loaded in the chirping department was. Stealth says he thinks Kane's going to get a goal against his former team as well. Mistaken Mexican, he ordered his Leon Draisaitl 50-goal shirt, which we flashed up a little bit earlier, but then I deleted it from my queue, so now I can't bring it up. But if you go to nationgear.ca, the beautiful shirt that Kennedy designed, it is up there right now, and you can give it an order. It is glorious. I love this thing. This is going to be one of my favorite pieces of Nation Gear. It is one of my favorite pieces of Nation Gear that we've dropped. Beautifully designed. It says "you hot bitch" on it. I mean, come on. What other clothing company is putting that out there? Great stuff from Kennedy.
Honest to God, we should do a show solely dedicated to Kennedy, because every single time we're like, she's amazing, which she is. She deserves all the love. It's just, we need to have a show that we maybe dissect every single one of her Leon, you hot biatch graphics and just go into detail. We need to get Kennedy on the show. That's actually an idea. So maybe at the end of the regular season, or if Leon wins the Rocket Richard, I feel like the best place for Kennedy to be is on the show.
Absolutely. Leon, 4 back of Austin Matthews, for the Art Ross, and I think the Leafs, do they have one more game to play than the Oilers? They're at 79. Yeah, so the Leafs have one more game to play than the Oilers, so it is important for Draisaitl to probably pop 1 or 2 tonight if he wants to keep pace with number 34 on the Leafs in terms of the Rocket Richard race. That's going to be fun to watch. Also, the playoff picture is going to be fun to watch here. The Oilers' magic number, for those who like keeping track of this sort of stuff, and I certainly do, the Oilers' magic number is 20 points between now and the end of the season. So what that means, and my boy Matt Iwanek has been calculating this up. He is the magic number wizard. The Oilers need to either get 20 points or Vegas needs to miss out on 20 points and Edmonton will clinch. So let's say Edmonton wins a game. That means the magic number drops from 20 to 18. If Vegas loses a game in regulation, that would mean they gave up 2 points. So that magic number would also drop by 2. So Edmonton with a win tonight. Vegas is not in action this evening. At least I don't think they are in action. No, they're not. Vegas is not in action tonight, but Edmonton can drop that magic number from 20 to 18 with a victory over the Sharks.
Tyler, does your stat brain ever hurt?
The magic number thing, I don't even know how to begin calculating it. Like if Iwanic didn't do that work and put it out on Twitter, I would have no idea what the Oilers' magic number is, but he is much smarter than I, and I'm just here to pass on the information.
Oh, you do a very good job. All right, everyone. This has been your Giant pregame show presented by Sherwood Ford. Obviously, you guys know we're taking on the San Jose Sharks tonight, 8:30 p.m. We're going to be on Twitter. We're going to be talking about it. And look out for another Kennedy graphic of Leon Draisaitl, you hot B word, if he does score his 51st goal of the season tonight. All right, everyone. We'll see you next time.